All right, everybody. Welcome to MS Invitational Week 4. Terry Scorpions versus 228th. Both teams come to this match at 1-1. They technically, Terry Scorpions has 4 points. Black Watch has 6 points. And Terry Scorpions' win was against Swole. And then that they won that one 4-1. And 228 Black Watch's win was against, I believe. Oh no, they got the bye win. So their bye win was what gave them the 5-0 points. They had a forfeit win versus K-Comp. So I don't think they have an actual win yet. But they'll be looking for it here. This is a big match for both these teams. Top 3 teams in the division move on to the playoffs. Both teams are well in the fight for it. But I think a win here will virtually clinch a playoff spot. And they're also both trying to get that number 1 seed to get the bye. And so I am the Magician, and I am joined with Wonka of SRS. Say hi, Wonka. Uh-oh. Is TeamSpeak dying? Hold on. Oh, gosh.
Hugs or something. I would agree with that.
Alright, it looks like the pack loss is going down. This is unfortunately regular occurrence with our TeamSpeak. Just checking to make sure it's all good before I get back into what I was saying. Alright, pack loss looks like it's back down to 0. So what I was saying was we have the MS Invitational Week 4 matchup. Terry Scorpions versus 228. I am the Magician, and I will be joined by Wonka. Had some TeamSpeak issues, so you missed the first part. Both teams enter this at 1-1, and then Terry Scorpions has 4 total points. That's 4 drop victories for Terry Scorpions, and 228 has. I'm getting this messed up now. 228 has 6 total points. They got a forfeit win, and then they got 1 drop on their loss. Terry Scorpions beat SWL to 4-1, so that's where their 4 points come from. In MS Invitational, top 3 teams make the playoffs. You get a point per every drop that you win. There are 5 total weeks, 4 actual matches. And how are you doing today, Wonka?
Hey Max, sorry about that.
Oh, our TeamSpeak was acting up, and it might happen again. So if it happens, can you maybe just drag me to channel on the SRS TS that we could go into?
Yeah, is it your TeamSpeak, you think?
Oh yeah, we've been having problems every once in a while. I don't know, around this time of the evening sometimes it just starts dying, then it usually comes back. But
Yeah, I'll pull you right now if you want to.
sure, let's just switch it. Sounds good. All right, cool.
All right, you hear me okay?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I thought it was my connection there. Sorry about that.
No. So we got about 10 minutes before the match is scheduled to start. We all know, though, it tends to be about 10 minutes after a match is scheduled to start. They usually do. So what are you thinking here? Interior Scorpions versus 228th. Who do you think is going to win this match?
Well, the mixed group with Antares, Eisen, and Marine Mechs is actually pretty interesting.
Yeah, I do have Interior Scorpions up on the OBS, sorry, on the broadcast here, but it's actually, you're right. It's the Antares Scorpions combination of Isengard, I keep calling them that, Isengrim, and Marine Mechs. So it is a combination team.
Yeah, they got together in NBT and played together, and I think they enjoyed it so much that they wanted to make sure they could finish the 12-man, so they merged together to make sure it would happen. I mean, both teams can brawl really effectively, and there are some good brawl maps tonight. I think it'll be interesting to see if Antares can pull that out.
Yeah, so the first one's K Network, and I'm noticing that my stream and these apps is showing forced colony images. That's really messed up.
Yeah, we're definitely doing Canyon Network.
Yeah, definitely doing Canyon Network. So the name is right, but the image is wrong. Let's see if I can get that fixed in the meantime here. I don't know why it's doing that.
For those that aren't familiar with the MSI, one of the really interesting parts of this is the fact they have to bring mixed tech exactly 6 IS and exactly 6 clan mechs.
Yeah, and that really does throw you off because it's 525 tons.
Yeah, it causes a lot of challenges because you're like, well, let me just bring, 2 Griffins and 2 of these and 2 IS mechs like this, and you're, well, no, you can't do that because you got to bring the clan mechs here. Then you start figuring out how you're going to allot the clan mechs, and you have to meet the tonnage as well, and it can cause some creative challenges.
Yeah, sometimes you're taking mechs that you might not want to. You wouldn't normally take. Like maybe the Nova. It's a fine mech. Maybe you don't usually take it, but here, like, hey, that's a good effective clan mech, so we'll take that in as one of our clan mechs. But now with the Jenner 2C, that does open up a lot of possibilities. So you have the Cheetah and the Jenner 2C, both solid lights that you can throw in there for the clan.
We've seen the Jenner 2C be kind of overused, I think. A lot of guys really favor that mech.
Yeah,
I think one of the interesting things about having the mixed tech, having the requirement is, I don't know if it's like this at SJR, but SRS, we have guys who are really passionate about some odd mechs, and they have the opportunity to kind of prove it and run those things where they wouldn't normally.
Yeah, I think that's an advantage of these settings, that people like other mechs, but usually you can't take them because of rules. What's some other ones that you've seen people taking that maybe they wouldn't take if there were no restrictions?
Oh, well, that's a good one. I think I don't know if Maulers would be a choice. I think those might be taken no matter what. But maybe on brawl drops where there's a lot of assaults, you might see more Atlas, as an example, instead of mix in with Maulers and Stalkers. That's a good point. I gotta look back on some of the decks that I've seen. I think we see adders a lot. You might not normally see an adder in a drop if it wasn't for the restrictions.
That's true. I think Shadow Cats. Yeah.
Cats, we see those on, especially like HPG on the wall.
And I guess in general, that return to the clan heavies is happening a bit. I mean, obviously some quirk changes made them more viable again, but we're just seeing in general a return of clan heavies with the MSI because you really weigh your decision. Like, where are you strongest at? Are you going to go with the Black Knights, and shove your clans into the lights, take 4 clan lights or something like that? Or are you going to put, because if you want to get the assaults, a lot of people aren't enjoying the clan assaults. They think the IS is much better assault, so then they don't want to take any clan there. So then you're like, well, now my heavies have to be clan.
Yeah, because you got to bring 6 clans, and then you look at the situations, and you're like, well, I don't want to bring the dire wolf, so that means that we might have to get rid of the Black Knights and maybe quick draws, and maybe we're going to have to turn around and go with, Hellbringers or Timberwolves or even Ebon Jags, depending on the map. I think for sure IS would dominate this. The biggest challenge that I've had is fitting the clan mechs in there that I want to fit in.
Yeah, IS. I mean, you have so many options when it comes to mediums. Even the SRMs. I mean, you got Griffins, Wolverines, Trebuchets, Kintaros. You know, there's so many choices Hunchbacks.
Hunchies lately too. That's another thing that, well, I don't know. People are fond of their hunchies. You might see those anyway. But yeah, they have IS has a lot of mediums, and the clans really. You got the tanky Stormcrow. I mean, the Hunchy won't be available to be used with permission until, I guess, next week. It's coming out Tuesday, I think.
Well, the Hunchy came out this past Tuesday, so it won't be available to next week.
Next week, right? With permission.
Oh, it's with permission next week, week 5.
It has to be out a full week, and so we ran into that with the Mauler.
Oh, yeah.
Against EMP. EMP wanted to use the Mauler. In hindsight, I probably should have responded differently when Cella said, Proton really wants to bring a Mauler. Is it okay? I was trying to be nice, but I should have thought differently about that.
Yeah.
But they have to be out for a full week. So because it comes out Tuesday, it misses the full week deadline by a day. So if you want to bring the Maulers on the week 5, you're going to have client opponent permission.
All right. They told me that you're quiet. I hope I fixed it. It's with OBS. I have the actual sound increase on desktop. I don't want to amplify it, but I just want to make sure that people can hear you now. Unfortunately, it'll be 5 minutes before they tell me.
Testing.
You're a little quiet even to me, so maybe you want to, I don't know if you can increase your mic just a little bit. Maybe mic boost it maybe or something, but.
Let me see what I can do.
I can increase you on TS2 as well. That might be the easiest. I'll just increase you by about 1. I'll increase you by 1 for now. So there we go. Maybe that'll be better.
All right, cool. Let me know if I need to speak up.
So, when it comes to 228, obviously they have the advantage of being a cell team for a long time, right? So, unlike AIM, those guys have been playing together for a very long time. You might have your one drop caller. Players all used to each other. I think that does give them an advantage. But do you think that
AIM... The core has. They've got a lot of newer guys around their core, I think.
That's true. But do you think that AIM has an advantage in that they are drawing from 3 teams when it comes to quality of players?
No, I don't see that as an advantage at all. I mean, any advantage these guys have came to playing together in NBT and really merging together as one team. They know each other at this point pretty well. They've competed together in several things. So I think I don't know how much turnover there is on that team, right? Like, I don't know if there's like the same subset of 12 guys that are always together, or if it's like a picking and choosing 12 from like a group of 24. So I think it depends a lot on their chemistry. I think we'll decide on how well they play together here. It's definitely difficult to to cherry pick different people and put them on a team if you're not absolutely used to playing with them. There's a lot that goes into it. Deck building and as a drop caller, trying to get people in the right position in the places where they can succeed. Where 228, I think they practice better and harder than anybody, so they're going to be prepared.
Yeah, I seen both teams scrimming a bit. I know AIM's been scrimming quite a bit, so I think that those guys are pretty used to each other.
Yeah.
It's kind of become a little bit less of the Eisengrim side. It's been much more of the AIM or the Anti Scorpions and MM. But I think it was always just a couple Eisengrim guys that were playing there. So those guys, like you said, they've been playing with each other for a while. Some good players. I think that maybe player for player, these teams might be pretty similar. That's always a hard judgment. I mean, I hate evaluating like individual players because everything comes down to how are you going to position yourself and play as a team? How are you going to communicate? How are you going to target? Are you going to actually play as a team or are you going to play as a bunch of individuals? So.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, 228 plays really crisp and really clean, but if you're patient, they'll sometimes make a move that might allow you to get a leg up on them. The question is whether or not you can put yourself in a position to take advantage of it, and that's where knowing who you're playing with really comes into play.
Yep.
I mean, you start to see patterns when you play together for a while on certain maps and certain situations. You start to recognize what you need to do. People bash NASCAR all the time, but all NASCAR is basically just two teams trying to outflank each other. They're just constantly trying to get to the other team's flank, and so there are certain situations and certain maps where you see that start happening, and you know that if you try to stay behind, that half your team is going to move forward, and that means you're likely going to die. Hopefully I'm coming through clear. I had a couple
Yeah,
of
you're
guys
coming
tell me I
through
was
clear to me. Hopefully for everybody else. I'm just getting a few extra things set up here. So one of my favorite parts here about this league, actually, I think it's interesting how every drop matters. Like winning 3-2, it's not just a match. You won the match. Well, great, but they got 2 points, you got 3, so you only got 1 extra point than them. You don't get any extra bonus for winning. So that can really play in as it goes on. Like you don't want to lose 5-0 if you can help it, right? You want to try to squeeze out as many victories as possible. Now, 228, you might say they have a little edge because they had that forfeit win in the first round, but I don't think it's going to have a huge impact over the course of things. But it definitely helped them a little bit, except it gave them less time to play and less teams to play.
In the hindsight, I don't think it made a big difference because that was one of those likely 5-0 decisions anyway. But I mean, it's not their fault. Obviously, it's not something that they want it to happen. But 5-0 definitely makes a big difference. I mean, even if you're able to lose, if you're able to lose decently, it can make a huge difference. I mean, I think we're starting to see that when it comes to this invitational because the 2 and 3 seeds are very much up for grabs. I think in both places, and I think a lot of that will come down to how clean the teams were able to execute over the course of the season.
So 525 tons starts off Conquest. Do you think Conquest is going to have an impact on this at all?
What we normally see on the lighter drop is if it's a stalemate at all in the beginning, then the team that gets the cap advantage, if they can hold it for a decent amount of time, then it can play. But in the light drop, what normally happens is the action happens so fast that if there is any cap advantage that's gained early, it's oftentimes just so minuscule that it can be overcome by winning the brawl and just having the mech numbers. So I think these lighter drops really come down to just executing the brawl properly. Now, I say that, however, a week or two ago, we had the pleasure of playing Drop 1 on Polar Highlands. That map can be capped.
Yeah.
But Canyon, I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm trying to think here a little bit about that.
Well,
it can come down. Yeah, it really could impact. Depending on what type of drop take you take at 525, like how you're gonna approach it. But I don't feel like a team should lose to capping just because they want to engage. It's only going to be because they chose not to engage early enough in the fight to then deal with capping.
Well, and I'm still getting word that I'm still quiet from some of my guys, so I don't know if there's anything else you can do on your end.
I boosted you even more. You sound pretty close to my level in my headphones, so I'm hoping that's good enough. I don't know.
I'll just try to speak up. I will say this. We played QQ on Polar Highlands, and in drop 1, we wanted to see if capping was possible. And it is. It is. We played for the cap from the very beginning. We really didn't know what we were going to run into with QQ. On Polar Highlands, because of the way the caps are, they're all around the map in a big circle. There's no centralized cap point. So, we spread out and took the side caps and just, capped and evaded for basically the entire match. By the time they realized what was happening and split up, we had a 5-0 cap on them. And so I think Polar Highlands is one map where you can get away with that. Some of the other maps where you might be able to get away with that are banned, like Terra Therma.
Yeah, I'm just getting this set up for people who are wondering what just happened on the stream there. They left out Terra Therma, which I was saying I don't think it's so bad on 12v12. I don't think it had to be left off, but I understand why.
A lot of people hate it. They just wanted to nip it in the bud there.
And Alpine Peaks is left off. Another one, don't think it had to be, but I understand why.
Do you have a lobby invite yet?
No, do you?
No.
I'm not seeing aim in lobby yet. I'm not seeing panic button in lobby yet, so I'm guessing they're not quite in there yet.
I'll check with Panic, see what their ETA is. But one variable we see on this drop 1 is how many streaks or what streak mechs are brought. Oddly enough, I think that we've seen a lot of different looks. Some teams will be very heavy on streaks, and we'd be surprised to see that teams want that heavy. I remember EMP was particularly heavy on streaks when we played them. I think they might have had 3 or even 4 streak mechs in the drop 1 we fought. And then we see some teams who just don't run it and don't use it, but still have a lot of success. And I think all that comes down to how you execute the brawl, really. So I'm glad to see that the mixed IS and clan tech is making it to where the streaks are not something that has to be completely worried about.
Yeah, I think streaks are still useful, but that's a good point that you can't just boat as many streaks as you want on that light drop. I mean, MRBC has banned streaks on that first drop partly for that reason. With all the light mechs, they don't want to turn it into a streak fest. But here, the most you could really reasonably take, I mean, you could take like 2 streak crows, maybe a couple of mad dogs, and a couple adders or something.
Adders, and that'd be it. I mean, you can't get streaks on the Nova.
You could take the Gen 2C streaks, but those are like streak 2s and aren't really as great.
You can run
and streak